We are very happy to have you with us. And I have a very important question to you today. Why are we as Seventh-day Adventists not Congregationalists? Why is not every local church supporting its own pastor, only its own pastor? The third question is, why are we still using the storehouse system to support our work? I mean, we bring all resources in only one bucket, and then from there we distribute those resources equally, considering all world necessities. So the answer to that question, before we talk to Delbert, comes from Jesus' lips in Matthew 28, verses 19 and 20. He says that we should baptize people in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things. But he says we should make disciples from all nations. This is very important. He also says in Acts 1:8, he says that we should be witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, and also to the ends of the world. So it comprises all the world, not only my neighborhood. And finally, in Revelation 14:16, which are the core of our message as Seventh-day Adventists, John says, I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to whom? To those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. So we have here a broad scope for our mission. That's very important to keep in mind. And so as a standalone church, we would never be able to do what we are doing so far. We have around a little bit more than 20 million members around the world. We have a little bit more than 158,000 congregations around the world, with 20,000 pastors around the world, and we are baptizing more or less 1.2 million members every year. This is the average number. So this is a lot of things. It would be impossible to do that, Delbert, if we would do it alone as one church.
Right.
So that's why it's so important for us to do it together. So I am talking to Delbert. Delbert Pearman is a former associate treasurer of the General Conference, and he was also co-director of IPRS, which is the International Personal Resources and Services. He is now the president of the church in Sri Lanka.
Right.
Thank you for coming and talk to us,
Good.
Delbert. Delbert, my first question to you is, we all must be missionaries, of course.
Yes.
All members are called to be missionaries by Jesus. But as a church, we consider, who we consider as missionaries?
Well, from the World Church headquarters, we support 5 major mission initiatives around the world, and this is on a global basis. We know that the local church is concerned about the local area and where it ministers, but we have 5 major mission initiatives. One of them is what they call the International Service Employee Program, formerly known as the Missionary Program. These are professional missionaries. They go as pastors, administrators,
like you are going.
Yes, educators, medical doctors, elder workers, and they would normally go for a 5-year term, and it's renewable, and many of them have done multiple terms. And they receive service credits. They were into the church's retirement plan, and they are full-fledged employees of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Currently in that group, we have They come from 75 countries, serving in 108 countries around the world.
108
And it
countries.
is a major undertaking of the World Church, in that the largest portion of the General Conference budget, second to the payroll, is for that mission, to support that mission program.
The importance we are
Yeah.
giving to
That's correct.
missions.
Yes. The second initiative we have is what's called the Adventist Volunteer Service. Now, these are individuals who go, and they will go for a shorter period of time. It can be from 2 weeks to 2 years. These are not employees of the church, but those who donate their time, volunteer their
So
time.
my question on that point is, any and every church member
Yeah.
may take advantage of
May,
that plan?
may apply for that, yes, and take advantage.
What must I do if I would like to apply for that?
Well, on the General Conference website, it would list a link, Adventist Volunteer Services.
Oh, good.
It shares the needs around the world, where they're located, this type of specialization that is needed.
Can I, for instance, choose a place where I would like to prefer to work?
Oh, by all means, yes, by all means. And these individuals will receive a stipend for their monthly stipend, also housing and others, but they don't receive the service credits and others. Many of these are teachers, maybe on their summer breaks, may want to go to another part of the world where they're still in session and may assist. These are medical doctors, often get licenses to provide relief for other full-time medical doctors, and the area is just vast. So that's the second. The third initiative is the Global Mission Program. And this program, you don't go cross-culturally, but these are people in a particular location who are working for the salvation of a people group that is nearby.
Are they church employees?
Yes, they would be church employees who go, and they will reach the unreached, normally those of non-Christian backgrounds, and they receive a stipend, and also they receive support and materials for evangelism. But their work is to work for those within their sphere and to help to win those. Now, that is an advantage to a degree over the other programs, in that you already know the language. You're already familiar with the culture. It's your native culture. And so that's an initiative that we have, and we have them in many, many parts of the world. Then the fourth initiative is what they call the Tent Maker Program. And these are persons, these will be lay persons, not church employees, but they have skills and abilities and knowledge that is needed in a particular country. It could be engineering, it could be in medicine. Many serve as professors in government universities or public universities, and many different areas. And these individuals will go, and they would go to these countries and work, just as Paul did, but they would earn their own keep. But their primary mission is to use their influence to share the gospel and to raise up believers.
Okay.
And then one more,
Okay.
and that is the Waldensian Student Program, which is similar to the Tent Maker Program, but these are students in universities.
Instead of working, they are studying.
They are studying, that's right. And they would study in universities, private schools, government universities, and they have leadership abilities. They make good grades. They have a very stable, strong relationship with Christ, and they're able to use their influence to share the gospel with fellow students and professors at the university.
Do they receive any stipend from the church?
To some degree, they all receive orientation, but many times they will go on scholarships that they have earned and others. And there could be some support also for those who may need. But the church does not wholesale pay all the tuition and others. Normally
If someone would like to apply for a position like that,
Yes.
what must do?
This again is up on the General Conference website, and you can link, and there they would have an application that you could fill out online. Also, it has areas of the world where there may be openings and opportunities, and you can put your information online, and then you'll be contacted by one of the associate secretaries, and they may ask you to send a resume. Of course, there is something from the pastor, the local pastor, attesting to your faith and your support of the church. But the church spends quite a bit of money in fulfillment of that gospel commission to go into all the world.
This is exactly my next question, because I heard you saying that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is one of the churches that best supports its missionaries,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's right. Many non-Adventist denominations have mentioned, and I can think of two right offhand, have mentioned that within their ecumenical movements, they have concluded that the Seventh-day Adventist Church has the best supporting mission program in the world.
It means that we are really investing a lot of money on that,
Yes,
right?
that's right. We take that gospel commission very serious, and we do divert quite a bit of resources to run a top-rate support program for our mission.
So, in my opinion, where our money is, Jesus already told us that.
Yes.
Wherever your treasure
Yeah.
is, there your heart,
Heart
will
will
also
be there also,
It
yes.
means that the heart of the church
Yes.
is in mission, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's
And we're blessed in that the whole world, through their tithe as well as their mission offerings, support these mission programs.
so. Tell me now,
Yes.
Delbert. I am in my church, my local church, and I am giving my tithe
Yes.
now. So how that tithe I'm giving here, and also my offering, let us explain in a different way, in both ways, tithes and offerings,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So how my tithe is going to help those missionaries, and how my offerings are going to help those missionaries.
Yes.
over there.
Okay. Yeah.
Because sorry
Yes,
for
go ahead.
interrupting
Yeah.
you. Sometimes I may fear that, oh, my tithe is not going there.
Oh, yeah.
My offering is not going there. So
Yeah.
how do I know that my offering is really going there, my tithe also?
Yes. Okay. Well, let's look at the tithe by itself. As you know, the tithe is what God has reserved for Himself, and He says you return 10%. Now, of that tithe, the major portion remains in the local conference, and that is to support the pastor,
Locally.
the local pastor, and all the pastors within that conference, as well as the conference operations. So if you want to know how my tithe is being used, you look at your pastor. You don't have to, the local church does not pay him separately, but
Directly.
all of that directly, that comes out of the tithe. And you may have a large church or you may have a small church, but yet each pastor in that conference is paid the same. And it's not based on the size or the giving capacity. So that's the tithe and offerings. And then some of
Or
that
not
tithe,
even the economic situation of that
right?
particular church.
That's
right?
correct. Yes. So every pastor's paid, a livable wage at a comfortable standard. And then, of course, a portion of that goes to support the union and the world church operations. And of the tithe that comes to the world church, which is a small percentage of the total tithe that's raised, 16.5% of that, which comes to the General Conference, is allocated for the what they call the mission sending program of the church. And that's a large portion. Other portions are used to run the General Conference. There are portions that are used to give back as appropriations to other organizations. But when you look at how it's divided up, the largest share goes to the mission program of the church, second to the payroll. And you can have maybe 700-800 people at the General Conference on the payroll.
Wow, it was very interesting how you showed the progression from local necessities to regional necessities, and then to international necessities.
Yes.
So the tithe I give will cover all those.
All of those, yes. And then God had a wonderful plan when He instituted that tithe system. Now, when it comes to the mission offering, now the mission offering is used to support missions, and that 100% of the unrestricted mission offerings, because there are some mission offerings that are specifically designated for unique needs, challenges, but of the unrestricted offering, 100% of that goes toward the mission of the church.
Okay.
So it is kept well funded.
Okay, we have around the world around 90% of church members under what we call combined offering plan. In
yes.
this plan, you give your offerings,
Yes, yeah.
and automatically 60% will stay, or 50 to 60%
Yeah.
will stay in
the
your
lo-
local church to
That's
support your
correct.
local church.
That's
Then
correct.
25%, around 25% will go to also regional necessities,
Yes.
and the other 25% will go right
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the GC. So what is the difference between the tithe that comes to the GC and the offerings that come to the GC? When they come, they are mingled together and they are used for the same purpose?
No, they are kept separate. As you know, the tithe is sacred, it's holy for the Lord, and therefore that is tracked separately, and that is for the support of the ministry.
Okay.
And we do send many ministers, and missionaries are considered ministers, and that's why a portion of the tithe is provided for the missionaries. Now, when it comes to the mission offerings, the mission offerings can be what you call non-tithe funds, and they can be used to provide evangelistic equipment, building of mission stations, world radio equipment, as well as many,
TV.
Yes, right, evangelism,
So,
and those types of
in a
things.
rough way, we could say that tithe will take care of people,
Yes,
and
yeah.
offerings will take care of things.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, and both are needed. Yes,
Both are needed.
to
Okay.
run the.
Delbert, thank you so much.
Oh,
for
it's
being
been a
with
pleasure.
us.
Yes.
May the Lord bless you
Yes.
in your new missionary endeavor.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.